minutes.
Dr. Zurbuchen, these questions and comments will be primarily for you. I'm looking at your written testimony to this subcommittee, and it states, quote, "We are building for the long term, and this time we're going to the moon to stay," end quote. Later on it says, NASA, quote, "looks to land humans on the moon within 5 years," end quote. After describing the Artemis 1 and Artemis 2 missions, you go on to say, quote, "Then the Artemis 3 mission will send the first crew to the lunar surface using commercial human landing services that depart from the Gateway outpost orbiting the moon," end quote. So at a minimum, we've got Artemis 1, Artemis 2, Artemis 3, the Gateway outpost that has to be designed, built, launched into lunar orbit. What's the total additional amount of money NASA needs in order to accomplish this landing on the moon with humans by 2024?
That's a question that we're grappling with as we go forward and do the analysis. We already submitted for FY20 the incremental, request at $1.6 billion for that year. The increments for 21 and beyond will be part of the next budget proposal as we go forward. It's a question that we're currently working with, and of course, my part of that is the science part, which are the science parts which are well defined, and I can talk about in much more detail.
Well, I'm on an authorization committee. Obviously, this is space subcommittee related. And for us in Congress to be able to grapple with these things, we need some idea of how much a cost is expected to be incurred over the next 5 years. Are you telling me that, yeah, we've got the $1.6 billion more or less for FY 2020, but we have no idea whatsoever what the next 4 years cost will be in order to accomplish this human landing by 2024?
We're in the process of working through that right now.
I understand you're in the process, but do you have any idea as to what the cost ranges may be, minimal to high, so far in this process, or do we literally have no idea what we're getting into when we talk about Artemis 1, Artemis 2, Artemis 3, and Gateway?
I'm not, at this moment in time, able to talk about all the elements of that, especially in the directorate where most of the funding is incurred, which is not the Science Mission Directorate that I'm working.
Let me ask the same question, but with respect to 2028, by which time we're supposed to have a sustainable moon surface operation. Do you have any idea as to how much additional money NASA is going to need in order for us to have a permanent human presence on the south pole of the moon by 2028? Any idea?
The budget proposal that you have in front of you in 2020.
I'm talking not just that 1 year. I get the 1 year, but it's more than 1 year, and we've got a budget and plan. Do you have any range of numbers that you can share with us and the American people about what we're getting into when we try to put this outpost on the moon?
At this moment in time, I don't have a range of numbers that I can share.
All right, let's talk about the Gateway outpost for a moment. Can you please describe what that is in a way that helps American taxpayers understand what they're paying for in terms of size or weight or rooms, or how it might compare to the International Space Station, something that gives American taxpayers a reference point as to what this Gateway that's going to be circling the moon on a permanent basis looks like?
The Gateway also is, of course, funded out of the Human Directorate, not out of our directorate, but is the way I think of it is like an outpost we have as a high altitude camp next to a mountain. I'm from the mountains. You know, you go out there, it's a small, very simple.
Okay, what does small mean? Tell me what, when you say small, is that a one-room vehicle that's orbiting the moon?
Perhaps it's a two-room vehicle, or small relative to the size of number of people involved. It is simple at this moment in time to enable the early goal of 24.
I understand the purpose of it. Let me go to my last question. With reference to the Gateway, you talk about solar electric propulsion. What is that?
Solar electric propulsion is a way of accelerating objects, spacecraft around. We use it in science. In this case, it will be used for a gateway. It basically loads up. We bring a gas with us, such as a noble gas, or that cesium or something else that basically sits there, and we use an electric voltage that we get from the power of which we get from the sun to accelerate those particles out the back and therefore propel us forward.
Well, thank you, Dr. Zurbuchen, for your answering my questions as best you're able. For what it's worth, no other representative of NASA has been able to tell us what this